everybody being here today. Obviously, we're really thankful and to have everybody back this week. We finally had all 13 players yesterday in practice for the first time in over 7 weeks. Leah Moore was back yesterday. She's been doing more and more, and so she actually was in practice yesterday the entire time, and it, just having everybody back was really it was fun for me. We were very competitive. We have a very competitive group anyway, but we had some really competitive drills and just a real competitive practice. But it was just great to have everybody back. To be clear, last week we had, we came back, we had one practice, and we had the tests that all came back crazy. And so we had 5 players at practice on the 29th, 5 scholarship players plus a walk-on. And we had 6 that were available, but we held one out just because she wasn't feeling well. And we did finally get her back cleared the next day. So we had 6 scholarship players for 3 straight days. And, we went to Stillwater with 6. We ended up having 8 Sunday morning. And so it was really a gutsy performance on Sunday with our team. That's a really hard place to play. I was talking to Coach Conrad yesterday evening, and we both agreed. We've both had some really good teams go in there and get beat over the years because it's just, for whatever reason, it's just a hard place to play. A lot of it has to do with their teams, their coaches. And then, it was like 11 degrees there, y'all, when we landed. And there was spit and snow. When we left here, it was 82. And of course, the front was coming, but it hadn't got to Austin yet. So we all got on a plane with sweatsuits and parkas on. It was 82 outside. But when we landed, we were glad we had them. So proud of our kids, really proud of my staff for doing a great job getting those, a very limited roster ready to go. And so we've got a big week in front of us, and it starts tomorrow night with a high octane, high offense in Texas Tech. You have to be careful when you evaluate them because they haven't had a full team either. 2 of their better players, Bramber Scott and Vivian Gray, both have played limited this year. Gray's finally back playing. She started 3 games, played in 4. Bramber Scott has been out most of the year. She's now playing as somebody that I'm obviously very familiar with because she played for me at Mississippi State. So they are really, really talented and have a really good team, and they're just now getting all their group together. So you can't, you just have to know what you're dealing with. And I certainly understand that. And, they're going to be a team that they're just going to get better and better as the season wears on. And obviously they're playing at a real high level. They just scored 91 points on Sunday afternoon. So I've got to get our kids focused on obviously defending a little bit. And then we've got to do a better job offensively. We got to stop turning the ball over. 16 turnovers, on Sunday. And, we've just got to have better focus on that end and really better discipline. It's not like it's our post players, that are getting double teamed and turning it over. Our guard play has got to get better from a standpoint of taking care of the ball and understanding the importance of that. So we'll keep working with them. And again, we're going to have to play really well tomorrow night.
All right, we'll start off with Danny and we'll go to Jonathan. Just a reminder, if you got a question, just raise your hand in the chat and I'll go in the order I see them. you want to get us started, Danny.
Yeah, Vic, I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago, but with all the injuries, with the COVID issues, Ashley leaving during the season, do you have an idea of what this team is, or is it still, even though we're 2 games into conference play, you just haven't had a chance to gauge what this team is, what its potential is, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of that you mentioned is certainly influential. Some of it really doesn't have anything to do with our team. The bottom line is we've got 13 players right now. And, yesterday, as I was watching practice and watching us get up and down and compete, we could be pretty good, Danny. We can, when we're focused and we've got that, intensity about us, this team can be pretty good. Now, consistency is what you're always striving for as a coach. Those better teams that I've had, Danny, it's making sure they know what time the bus is loading and where it's loading from. When that's all you're worried about as a coach, you got a heck of a good team. And, it's not about, we're going to have to go play great tonight. Hey, if we just go play our game, we're going to be fine. We're going to win. And so the consistency piece is the challenge right now, because we have had so many variables, obviously, that's happened during the course of the season. And so I think we're really comfortable with where we are at point guard with Aaliyah and Joe playing backup if they have to. Aaliyah had 2 really good 4-minute segments yesterday in a competitive scrimmage type setting that you want to see a point guard do, from a standpoint of seeing the floor, sharing the ball, making the right decisions, and then being aggressive herself. That's what I love about Rory and her and Joe. Those are scoring point guards. You can't just, okay, we got to guard everybody else. We don't have to worry about guarding them. You have to guard those 3 players, right? So, to answer your question, I think there's tremendous opportunity and potential. Have we reached it? Absolutely not. If we can keep everybody healthy and keep everybody working hard, I think we've got a chance to be really good. But I think that's the consistency piece. So think about this, okay, coach, you're wanting to be consistent. So what drives that? To me, what drives consistency is you're passionate about beating everybody, not somebody. I'm passionate about beating everybody. I'm not driven to go, okay, well, we haven't beat this team before. We hadn't beaten them in years. Let's no. If you're going to have consistency, you're passionate about beating everybody. And so that's kind of where I'm trying to get this group to think.
Follow up really quickly. I don't know if I'm just living in the moment, but has this year been unique? Obviously, the COVID thing excluded. As far as the injuries are concerned, is this a more injured team than years past, or is this just basketball and I'm living in the moment?
Well, Leah Moore's been obviously our biggest injury bug. Correct me, is there somebody else that we've had some issues? Am I forgetting somebody?
Kendall was hurt. Kobe was hurt for a little bit. Latasha's working her way back, obviously, from high school.
Yeah. So, I mean, we certainly have had our share. And I do think, the answer is, I don't know that I've had this kind of, these types of injuries pop up like we've had this year. So, the answer is it is unique for sure. Especially early, you're right. We had Kendall and Kobe out for extended periods, and that's a position that you got depth, right? But then all of a sudden there's your depth. They're over there sitting down for 2-3 weeks. So, for sure. And then, you have Deanna gets sick on the road, doesn't play against Princeton as she plays really well against San Diego and Vegas. Obviously Amo being out, she's played 3 games and we've played how many, 10 or 11. So that's a unique situation as well. But I think our team has really done a great job of picking up the slack in every situation, right? I mean, Sunday's a great example. So I sit here and, I'm always I'm a little bit of a pessimist. And so I'm sitting here going, we're a made free throw or a free throw block out away from being undefeated. I mean, that's reality. We're up 5 with 2 to go at Tennessee and can't get it done. That's reality. And so we just got to keep working. I love this team. I love the potential of this team, but it's my job to make sure we get everything out of them we can.
All right, let's go to John.
Hey, Coach Schaefer, last year you guys played with a 6-person rotation. How much does that help with everything that you're going through? And you mentioned passion. Are you not seeing that passion from your team? Because like you said, you guys should be undefeated.
Yeah. John, you could have been with me in Stillwater. I talked to our team Saturday after we practiced. I talked to them Saturday night, and it was in my pregame. We're sitting here with 8 scholarship players, y'all. That's 2 more than we played with all last year. We had a pretty good run at the end. So, what I shared with them in the locker room was, when the game's over, there's not going to be an asterisk by the win or the loss. It ain't going to be, well, Texas wasn't number 12 today. We're number 12, whether we got 6 scholarship players, 7 or 8, or however many we got, we're still the number 12 ranked team in the country. So what's the narrative going to be when we come back in here in 2 hours? And so, that was my message. And again, you're absolutely right. I mean, we did it a year ago with 6. So I wanted them to really be, because I could detect earlier in the week in practice, and they were kind of, woe is me, and, kind of like, gosh, Coach, I'm tired. We've been practicing. There's only 6 of us. Well, that's no different than what we had a year ago. Now, some of y'all weren't part of those 6, but just understand, I mean, it's enough, right? So, for me, it's just all about your competitive spirit and your, how you respond. I talked to them about, in these moments of trial, in these moments of uncomfortability, it's how you respond that defines you. And I shared with them, the story of my son, and we didn't know why the good Lord picked him, and why all of a sudden he went from this vibrant 14-year-old skinny-waisted, broad-shouldered baseball player to, can't walk, can't talk, can't hold a fork in your right hand, drooling out the left side of your mouth. We just wanted to respond in a way that was pleasing to him. And that's what I tried to impart to our team. Hey, how you respond defines you. And so I just wanted them to really embrace, hey, again, this is a great opportunity. Let's show the country who we are and what we're about.
All right, let's go to Mark.
Yeah. Hey, Vic. Do you know, will Moore have a minutes limit this week? And when Rory Harmon doesn't start, is that a concern over early fouls?
Well, the answer to the Aaliyah Moore question is I don't know. I don't know what her limitations will be. And we'll know more probably this afternoon late. But right now I don't have an answer on her. Rory not starting, that's those are coaches' decisions. Sometimes I think obviously we don't want her getting in foul trouble for sure. But I think we're a different team, obviously, too, when she's on the floor. So, she's learning, she's finding her way. And obviously she gutted it out Sunday, 32 minutes. So I was pretty impressed with her ability to get through a game like that.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Roger, and then Kirk can go after him.
Hey, Vic, 2 years ago, you get hit with the 2x4 before the tournament. Last year, it's going to be bad and unusual. This year, you're thinking, all right, we're kind of back to normal, yet, here we are again with all these unanswered questions, missing games. How difficult is it to kind of get back in that mode? I mean, you're in a mask on Sunday on the sidelines. Just the grind of now kind of thinking, okay, we are over the hump and here we are again.
Roger, I can tell you it's really no fun. I will say, I've anguished, I've anguished, sorry. I will say I've anguished really the last probably 36 hours. What I'm hearing and what I'm reading in the paper and what I talk to our doctors, Roger, my biggest fear is that we're all going to get it. It's a highly contagious variant. And I'm worried about my staff. I'm worried about my team. I'm afraid it's inevitable. And, that concerns me. I've got staff with children. I have players with families, players themselves. I don't know that we're going to be able to outrun it. And so my first concern is just the health factor, just making sure people get over it and get through it. But then, okay, we just went through it a little bit. Fortunately, we didn't have more that had it. At the same time, I've still got a significant number that haven't had it. And so, I mean, I'll tell them again today, guys, your backs are against the wall if you haven't had it. Do everything you can to prevent it. And so it's really hard, Roger. It's really tough. It's not anything that you get prepared for in life. Think about it. I mean, what's prepared us in life for this? I mean, I don't, obviously there's trials and tribulations in your life, and they help you get through tough times, but it's like there's something around every corner, I mean, it's a hard way to live when you're worried about what's around. Think about it. If you walked out of your house, you walk around, get out of your car, if you're always worried about what's outside, what's around the corner, what's in this room, it's just a hard way to live. And it's almost like that's what you're doing. So I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very concerned. And, but my biggest concern is just the health and safety of my staff and our players.
And oh, by the way, trying to win basketball games.
Yeah, I mean, I have to check myself. I have to be honest with you. You guys have seen me enough. I'm passionate about what I do. I want to win. I want to do things the right way. I want my kids to do things the right way on and off the floor. I don't like it when that doesn't go like I think it should. And yeah, you're right. I mean, you got all this other stuff going on, and where does that fall in the matrix? Where does playing basketball, winning, and so the answer is, I think you got to try to provide as much normalcy as you can for these kids. I really do. Last week when we had the pause, we had to ask ourselves, okay, how important is it for us to practice today? Well, it's a great question. And there's probably a fine line, but to me, it was more important to get those healthy kids out of the dorm in the apartment and try to resume some type of normalcy in a safe environment than it was to let them sit in the apartment and stare at four walls and worry about what might have, if, coulda, woulda happened. So I think you have a responsibility to both the ones that are sick versus the ones that, are healthy. And so it's really hard. It's really a fine line. And then I have the burden of my staff. What's that burden like? And, I have to evaluate. I have to do what my employer wants us to do, expects us to do. And at the same time, I've always been somebody that's tried to take care of my staff. I've always put them first and foremost in everything that I've done. And because they're my family, and I appreciate everything they do for me, both personally and professionally. And so it's really hard. It's like I said, the last 36 hours, of everything I'm reading, I've talked to our team doctors. I've talked to other personal doctors that are friends of mine. I'm really, really concerned.
All right, let's go to Kirk.
Yeah, Vic, along those lines, have you and your entire staff and players been fully vaccinated with 3 shots?
Well, I know we were fully vaccinated with the first 2, and then I know that we, most have had the booster. That's about all I can probably elaborate on that.
And as far as just the big picture, I mean, if you size up the conference a little bit, South Carolina's rolling along, and then they lose to Missouri. Baylor loses first crack out at Kansas State. So I know you've already played one game, but how would you just kind of size up the strength of this league, and what kind of record do you think might win it?
Well, I think we're going to see obviously you're not going to have anybody go through it perfect. I don't think. I think there's 4 teams right now ranked in the top 25, and just what you saw on Sunday with upsets all over the country. And then everybody's going to be dealing with this COVID issue. And so I just think that a lot of parity in our league, a lot of great coaches. It's just like I said, Texas Tech scored 91 points on Sunday, and they're just now getting their team, back and everybody together and finally playing. So they're only going to get better and better as the year goes on. And same with Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State played us with their third point guard. So their starting point guard was out, and I think their backup was out. But I know their starting point guard was out. And you have no idea how that affects the team. And so I just think we've got great coaches in the league, Hall of Fame coaches. You got players in the league that are going to be in the big league next year and the year after. And so it's I think there's going to be multiple losses to potentially the champion. And so that's why you got to stay focused and take it one game at a time, because the minute you start overlooking somebody, that'll be the minute you get your butt handed to you by 20, and it won't matter who it is. So we've got 17 left, and we've got to have laser focus going into each one.
And last question, real quick, is there one player who's come the furthest for you this season so far? Kind of almost the midway point, or a little past it?
Yeah. I think there's probably a couple of kids that have really come a long way and yet still have an incredible distance to come. Latasha Lattimore's coming, y'all. She's going to be really good. Wonderful kid, respectful, works really hard. She just, when she got here, she had just had had not done a lot of rehab, didn't even have a knee brace for an ACL, injury that had happened, and she had the surgery back in December. So, man, she's somebody that I believe is going to be great for us in the future. And it's just a matter of working and developing and coming. She's playing almost 14 minutes a game, y'all, as a freshman on the number 9 team in the country. That's pretty good. And so, I really love that kid, and I love where she's coming. Trying to get Aaliyah Matharu just to be a little more consistent. She's obviously had some huge games for us and is an explosive player, but just get her a little more consistent on both ends of the floor. And so, and then I think Deanna Gaston is somebody that's, every time you get her going, she has a setback. She had the setback and couldn't play at Princeton. And so, we're trying to get her now back in going again. She was back in practice yesterday. And so, that's somebody to me that can really impact our team as well. So, we've got a lot of kids doing a lot of really good things, but those kids have really come a long way in a short period of time. And to me, they're going to get better and better. And again, I think all our freshmen, Kendall, Amo, Rory, those kids, they're all getting better and better every day.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Hey, Coach, I want to talk a little bit about leadership. And I know Joe struggled. It seems like she struggled early on in the season with scoring, shooting the ball, but has really come through here the last week or so. Similar, Audrey seems to be really consistent for you most of the time. And Ebo has really stepped in and filled a void where you don't have a lot of post play due to injuries or youth or whatever. So talk about leadership going into conference play.
Well, I think we're a work in progress when it comes to leadership. I just think that, from a leadership standpoint, leaders leave no doubt in anyone's mind. Nothing replaces hard work. Being consistent, having consistent effort is always going to end with reward eventually. So from that standpoint, obviously Joe, every day she brings it, works extremely hard. She's consistently working hard, whether she's 7 for 10, 6 for 15. Joe's going to play both ends of the floor. She's going to be solid and she's going to be consistent. I know what I'm going to get from her every game, every day. So, but from a verbal standpoint, somebody that has that verbal capability, leadership, I think we as the coaching staff have to be those type of leaders with this team. And then in the same sentence, I'll say we work with our young kids that are going to be the future of our program. We work with them on developing some leadership qualities and so again, it's, if you're not setting the example every day, it's hard to be a leader, and again, leaders, the great leaders are servant leaders. When they talk about the great leaders in the NFL, the great quarterbacks, those guys care deeply about their defensive players as much as they care about their offensive linemen. And so they're servant leaders. When their feet hit the ground in the morning, they're not thinking about, ooh, I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm this. When their feet hit the ground, they're thinking about, hey, my teammate, she just lost a good friend. She's got a family member sick with COVID. That's what they're doing. They're thinking about their teammates when their feet hit the ground in the morning. They're thinking of others. That's what servant leaders do. And that's what the great leaders do. So, we're trying to teach our kids that. It's, you've been on teams, Andrea, there's, when you have 13, 14 players, everybody's not hunky-dory every day, right? And after every game, everybody's not they should be excited about victories, but if I only got to play 2 minutes or I didn't get to play at all, that person might need a little more care and a little more pick-me-up than the person that played 38 minutes, right? Or led us in scoring. And so that's the part that you have to really be aware of. And again, misery loves company, right? And so you got to be cognizant of that too. So that's all part of your culture. We're talking about culture is what we're talking about. And, culture has been a concern of mine since I got here. We're still not perfect in that regard, but, it's something that I'm cognizant of and I try to work with our kids on every day.
And then just a follow up quickly with Rory, she was pretty phenomenal with her assist numbers early in the season. These last 3 games, just 3 assists. Is there a reason for that? Do you see things she's doing differently? Obviously, she didn't play a lot of minutes in one of the games.
Yeah, you played, I think 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes in a game. She was in foul trouble in, and I don't see her doing a lot. I see, we show them film, and I think she's trying to force some shots every now and then, just trying to make things happen. But you and I both know we've also seen her make those same shots, right? So I just think trying to teach her and take 2 or 3 less shots a game, your percentages, instead of 4 for 11, you'd be 4 for 8. Maybe on those 3 shots you took, there's somebody open where you get an assist. I just think that's kind of where you're at with youth. She's young, she's learning the game. And so, and then I also think you and I both know that to get an assist, somebody got to make a shot. And, you've got to kind of recognize that as well. So I don't think she's doing anything any different. No, I just think that's kind of how the game is sometimes. When we're clicking on offense now and we're driving the basketball and getting to the rim, there's not a lot of assists, and whereas when you're running a lot of half court stuff and, you're coming off some pretty screens and things like that, there might be an assist involved. But we do some things, obviously, to get people in some one-on-one situations. Well, there's not going to be an assist in that regard.
All right, we got to get coach to practice, guys, but appreciate everyone being here.
Appreciate y'all. Praise the Lord and hook 'em.